My name's Angela Carroll and I'm a health and performance coach as well as a naturopath and an acupuncturist, and so I have my own business. In addition to my own business coaching, and I've actually been working educating healthcare practitioners and running seminars and webinars and travelling all over the place. It's not unusual for me to have been travelling 2 weeks in 4. Pretty full on, intense travel, plus an hour and a half commute each way to work. So yeah, time was pretty condensed. So I started working with Wealthology when I met Leonie through the coaching, and so I went to one of those information nights. Just not really necessarily for the Wealthology component, but just to meet Leonie after I'd done the coaching and just see what she was doing and what was going on, and it just snowballed from there. So when I went to Wealthology, it was predominantly because I'm getting older, and I thought, I need to get a bit of something else happening. I need to have a little bit more. I call myself financially illiterate. I really just didn't grow up with any understanding of how money works and what to do with money and so forth. So I just wanted a better system. I wanted to educate myself more about what I needed to do to be more secure financially. And I'd been interested in investment properties for a while, but I was just too busy. Too much travel, too much going on in life, and I didn't know where to start, how to do it. I didn't know how to do the finance, and it just all seemed too big and overwhelming. So when Leonie put forward to me with Wealthology the process that she had and how easy it was just as godsend. I think the biggest reason I chose to work with Leonie was I trusted her. Everything she did just oozed trust. She was all over everything. She just knew what to do, how to do it, and I just felt it just seemed so easy. Working with Leonie and her team has been a dream, honestly. It's the easiest thing to do, and every time sort of people say, how did you get your investment property? So, Leonie, she just took care of everything. There's nothing I had to do, nothing I needed to worry about. It was just, okay, speak to this person here and speak to that person there, and it was just so easy. Leonie's quality of work was, I just didn't know that people could work at that level of performance and capacity to make everything so easy. It was constantly, if you've got your own lawyer, that's fine, but we've got somebody else that can do this for you if you like. There was always the offer to use your own, but we've also got these people that understand the process and the background. And so I just handed everything over. And the professionalism, it wasn't just in Wealthology, but it was all the people that Leonie combines her services with. And they all operate at the same level, that same really high level that Leonie does. So I just felt really sure, and with the trust I had in her, that the people she was going to recommend were also trustworthy. The only challenge along the way was me. So because I was so busy travelling all the time, and it's like, Leonie's going, come on, if you don't do it now, it's not going to happen. It's like, I'm too busy. She said, we'll organise it all, we'll get it all done for you. Here's the paperwork, here's the process, and it was like a plan. There was a step-by-step plan. At this stage we do this, and at this stage we do that. Yeah. So once I got out of the way and let Leonie take over everything for me, it was just a breeze. Using Wealthology for my investment property, for the purchase of the investment property, has been such an amazing benefit as far as the time that it saved me. So I've wanted to have an investment property for a long time, and the aspect of actually going through the process to buy a property, I knew I just wouldn't have the time and I wouldn't have the bandwidth to be able to actually handle that. And so with Leonie services, they have dealt with all of that for me. So it saved me a massive amount of time. My mortgage was split between 2 banks. So the home that I already have, plus now the investment property, if anything happens to go pear-shaped, which I don't think it will, but if anything does, then I'm not going to lose both properties. And so that's given me a lot of security, knowing that that's the way that it's been set up that way. Insurance-wise, actually, the group that Leonie uses for the insurance, I feel really comfortable that I've got the best possible insurance policies to make sure that everything's running the way that it needs to be done. And I loved also that they kept contacting and going, okay, at this stage of the build, you actually need to have this insurance policy in place. At this stage of the build, you need to have this insurance policy in place. So I didn't even have to think about those sorts of things. But then once everything's run through, then I contacted them again, contacted Maxine again, and then ran all my other insurance, my house, contents, my motorbike insurance, everything else, and then that saved me money as well, so she's put me onto a better insurance plan for those. So there's just been benefits all over the place. I can see a really big benefit of using a professional for my wealth creation, because I'm financially illiterate. It's not something I know anything about really. So, going to Leonie and then being able to actually go through the process of where am I now and where do I need to be, or where can I be? What's my possibilities? It's just putting me going in the right direction really with that. And I loved how Leonie rang a couple of weeks ago actually. It was before end of financial year, and she contacted me and said, okay, here's a list of things, have you go back to your bank and look at where you're at with, have you got the best rates? Go to your credit card, have you got the best rates? Where can you save some money here? Where can you make some money there? And it was just a great check-in process. If I was to recommend Leonie and Wealthology to anybody, I always will say, oh my God, it's just the easiest thing. I actually have already recommended her to one of my closest friends, a girlfriend in Melbourne, and she's subsequently gone on and bought property through Leonie as well, and she's just found the process just so easy too. So it's the easiness. It's comprehensive, it's easy, it's taken care of. You don't have to think about anything other than, okay, just what's the next stage that Leonie has on the plan for you. I loved it, it was great. So since working with Leonie, I now have an investment property as well as my home that I already own, and that just makes me feel so much more secure. As I'm a single person, I'm single income, plus I'm working for myself, and just knowing that I've got that extra security means such a lot. Everything that I've done with Leonie has exceeded expectations. It's just been such a dream, like seriously so easy. The people that she's put me in connection with, the trust that I had in her, the plan that she put in place, and the whole procedure was just, everything was better than I expected it could ever have been. I think one of the biggest surprises with working with Leonie was just how easy it was. That's the biggest thing for me was I'd put a big mountain in front of me. It's like, I can't possibly get an investment property. The home that I already had was my 4th property, but I'd gone from house to house to house and hadn't accrued anything other than the house I lived in. So just having this, this next stage of my wealth development coming into plan so quickly. And as soon as the house was built, it was finished on the Monday, and on the Friday I had tenants in both properties. It blew me away how easy it was. I love working with Leonie. She's fun, she's fun, she's real, she's genuine. She doesn't have a hidden agenda. Oh, I don't think she has a hidden agenda at any stage. She just always is doing, she comes from the heart, and she puts together the program and the process because she knows she's got a skill set that other people can take advantage of, and it's just a joy to work with her. She's not like a stuffy business person that walks around in a suit all day and you need to do this and you need to do that, and she's just genuine and real, and yeah, I just love that. My main concern about buying property when I was looking at it, so that's a bit over a year ago now, maybe 18 months ago, was it just seemed too overwhelming and too hard for where I was at, to get all the financials together and to get everything that I needed to do together, and could I, was it safe to buy? Was I buying a property in a good area? Was I buying a place with growth? I'd probably, if I'd done it on my own, I would not have thought to buy in the location where Leonie's set me up. But that's because I don't have my finger on the pulse of knowing what's going on everywhere in Brisbane. So she looks at places where there's growth and where it's a good time to get in now, where the development's there. Other places, if it was on my own, I probably would have looked for somewhere like Paddington or somewhere in a city, but I just would have been a lot of money out of pocket to start with, and I may not have seen those returns in the long run, and I probably couldn't have afforded it either. Now that the tenants are in place and the build's finished, and that whole process of finishing the build, sign off, tenanting, it was so easy that I absolutely would do it again. I'm only kicking myself that I didn't meet Leonie 5 years earlier. And I could be so much even more further ahead than I am now. There's absolutely no way I could have done this on my own. There's absolutely no way. I just wouldn't have had the time, the energy, the space, the know-how, the connections that I was set up with Leonie to be able to do it on my own. I'd be very stressed and probably crying a lot. I sat on the fence for such a long time, and it was just this niggling stress that was sitting behind me all the time. Are you in the best financial position for where you want to be? And just get off the fence, you know. Leonie makes it so easy. Wealthology's comprehensive, and she looks at everything from your best perspective. She's not trying to sell you something. She just comes from the heart of wanting the best for you. And she's just a dream to deal with. So it doesn't hurt anyway just to pick up the phone and give her a call and just say, hey, here I am. This is what my needs are. Can you have a look? I don't think there's any, you're not going to have any adverse effects from doing that. I had so many benefits from dealing with Heather and her team as well. But for me, the biggest thing was, one, it was really easy to get the property tenanted, and she was really, really on the pulse with what the rental prices should be in the area at the time as well. They found the best tenants. They gave me really good advice. They interviewed the tenants that came through. You could get somebody in, which is great, but you want them to look after your property, and you want them to, you have an emotional connection to your property, and you want them to look after it and treat it nicely. So she chose people that fitted that perspective that I wanted. And also during the whole coronavirus aspect, when everything was going to lockdown, people were losing their jobs. There was a lot of insecurity in the market. We didn't know what was actually going on. Could your tenants pay rent? She, every week, was sending out a little government update on what policies the government's putting in place for protection for homeowners, and was also then checking in with the tenants and making sure that they were okay. All I needed to do was just see that lovely email come in every week and know that everything was in a good place. So she was a gem, an absolute dream, and I would recommend her to anybody that was needing a property manager as well. I just want to say a big thank you to Leonie for kicking my butt and making me do this. I sat on the fence for a long time, probably a good 6 months after I'd met Leonie. Will I, won't I, can I, can't I? And she just kept on, come on, you can just do this. Let's just go through the process, and I'll hold your hand, I'll make sure it works, and let's just see. The first stage is, can you get the money? That's the first stage. And that process was just, again, such a dream, and I just really, really am grateful for her absolutely making me get off that fence, because I was pretty well stuck on that fence. Get off that fence and really just get out there, and I'm just feeling so much more secure and so much better for doing that. Yeah, I just, as I said, wish that I'd met her 5 years earlier and I'd have another 3 properties at least.